Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much. Wow, look, the record button actually works now. I don't know what the hell happened. Henrik called me, and all of a sudden it was working again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Pill Nation Hangout number 308. Yes, it was that kind of a week, so we're actually having to do 2 episodes this week to make up to cover all the stories. For the most part, we're doing them in order of how I discovered them, not necessarily in how they happened. So, yeah, for those of you who want to point out, oh, well, Biden announced his candidacy for presidency 2 weeks ago. Yeah, you're right, and I don't know how that skipped by me, but it did. And I didn't find out about it until late last week, so it is on 309. Yes, I know some of you know about that, but yeah, that's just the way it went. With me, it's gonna be a light show tonight. We might only go about 2 hours. We might not even go 2 hours tonight, which would be nice for a change. With me tonight, the only person with me tonight is Rearson. Rearson, introduce yourself.
Well, I certainly am hoping it's going to be a quick night, relatively speaking. It'd certainly be nice. Not much else to say except let's fucking do it.
All right. The topics. Oh, just for those of you who don't know, I am at Patreon as the Red Pill Nation. I'm Subscribe Stars and Roki5. Or one or the other, or the both, whatever. I am no longer at YouTube. This whole thing with Dylan Mulvaney and getting a copyright strike on a channel with 0 subs.
Wow.
That was literally the icing on the cake for me.
Can't make this shit up. He's not making this shit up at all.
No, I'm not making this shit up. Like, somebody was dedicated enough to try to get a channel with 9 subs shut down. That was my second channel. I'm on my third. Hammerhand is on his 15th or 16th because he got shut down again yesterday. He just can't help it. But I mean, it continues. I don't know why.
Sorry.
Hammerhand's a MGTOW. That doesn't.
No. I realize that, but someone on YouTube is really just. We need to give them a lifetime supply of Orange Man bad because, it's not a case of spin the bottle. It's spin the cuck and see where the little dick is pointing. Let's see who's going to get next. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have set the stage for the rest of the night.
Yeah, one standard for the Red Pill Nation. That's no standard. Okay, so I am at Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble, MGTOW TV. I am also at Facebook, MeWe, Minds, Gab. No, I'm gonna avoid. I'm not gonna do Twitter. I may set up a dedicated Twitter channel at some point, but not yet. I am also at No, I'm not at Parlor. I stopped posting up at Parlor. There's no interaction at Parlor. Getter and TLB Talks. That's it. Oh, and well, no, I could say Skype, but no, I'm not just letting random strangers join Skype. Oh, yes. One other thing, I do actually have a Gilded server up. It's called If you're on Gilded, it's called Naruki 5 Gilded. There's just me over there at this point. Always welcome, always up for allowing new people on. Yes, I do have a Gilded server. I totally forgot to mention that. So if they're not as PC over at Gilded as they are on Discord. So yeah, by all means, feel free to join me over on Gilded. So for the topics tonight, and we've only got 5 of them, and there's only 2 of us. So it might go quick tonight. Topic number 1, U.S. government assumes control of First Republic Bank and sells it to J.P. Morgan Chase. 2, Ryan Webb, Republican councilman, trolls leftists by declaring himself a lesbian woman of color.
The exact opposite. Well, it's similar to Dylan, but with a nice twist.
Yes. Oh, God, that one is funny. Topic number 3, David's Bridal is going bankrupt. That's one of the largest bridal supply companies in the United States. That one's there's a lot of Manosphere content tonight. Topic number 4, people are jumping on the Steve Crowder divorce bandwagon. I'm going to have to, because I still haven't actually listened to that outtake video where Steve Crowder reams out his ex-wife, but so it's kind of hard to comment, but I have seen a lot of other stuff on it. So yeah, heavy Manosphere content tonight. And topic number 5, the secret undermining of Mario Brothers. Yes, specifically people over at Disney are really pissed that Mario Brothers is doing quite well. And yes, I have actually seen the movie. So without any further ado, Rearsync, could I get the timestamp, please?
You can't do it?
Oh, well, hold on a second. Yeah, I can actually. What am I thinking?
Sorry, ladies and gents. We just got into a bit of a power loss a little while.
I
don't have to do it. All yours.
Okay, so yet another banking. Oh, and by the way, apparently there's another one on the way. And we can get into that. U.S. government assumes control of First Republic Bank, and they sold off controlling and all of the debts to J.P. Morgan Chase. Now, one thing you got to understand about this is that I am not a finance guy. Money is not my specialty. Money is not my strength. And I don't get my jollies from making money, right? Money is just something that's there for me. I realize that I may have to actually not may have to. I am going to have to change my mentality when it comes to my finances, and that's something I'm going to have to work on. That being said, First Republic Bank did the same thing that Silicon Valley did, that Silver did, that I can't remember what. There's been a couple of other ones that have teetered on the edge of bankruptcy. This one, though, unlike Silicon Valley Bank, where the government just basically said, yes, we'll cover all of the financial losses. This one, what they did is that they bought it up and then they sold it off to J.P. Morgan Chase. Now, J.P. Morgan Chase is considerably larger than First Republic for obvious reasons. So could J.P. Morgan Chase absorb the debts that First Republic has? Maybe. There's been some speculation on the part of various people. Again, you got to understand, I don't follow markets. I just I'm not even going to apologize for it. It's just not something. Just like auto mechanics, it's like, yes, I'm aware that knowing the basics about how my car works is a good idea. No, I do not get fired up by pulling up the hood of the car and working on it. It's just like it just does not do it for me. I understand there's a lot of guys that the majority of men are like that, but I'm not like that. Like car mechanics doesn't interest me. Same thing with finance. It does not. It's not my specialty. It's not something that I get fired up about. So it's not something that I can get into a lot of detail with. Um, the whole issue here is that, and this is the speculation that I saw, either A, they sold it off to JP Morgan Chase because JP Morgan Chase can afford to absorb the debts that First Republic had, or they're attempting to buy time and they're going to try to prop up JP Morgan Chase to try to fix an even larger problem, which I think is happening down the road, because I suspect that there's more than a few other banks that got a little bit too happy on near zero interest rates. And because of what happened with COVID, and because the money supply has been so inflated, and because the economy took a downturn, by the choice of the powers that be, and money just ain't worth what it used to be, people are, they've potentially created I believe what's called a negative feedback loop now, where they're going to have to start, and they have been doing it. And again, I am not a financial, so if somebody who listens to this knows a little bit more about this, feel free to comment on this. Creating a negative feedback loop, which could potentially cause us to go into not just it would be classified as a recession, although Joe Biden administration would probably try to deny it by redefining the words to say that we're not. And let's not forget that he tried to pass off the fact that everybody was returning back from COVID as job creation. Let's not forget that little detail. This is not looking good. If another bank or two start, I mean, keep in mind there's more banks than film studios, but if another bank goes down, now it's like we've had 3 so far, and if another one starts to kind of falter a little bit, there, for instance, I didn't put this in, but apparently Toronto Dominion in Canada came very close to faltering a week or 2 ago. Now, it survived.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll comment on that soon enough.
Yeah, you can comment on that one. But Toronto, I don't know the details on that one, but Toronto Dominion in Canada also came very close to like faltering, which would have been odd because they're the insurer for my vehicle, so I don't know how that would have worked out.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Let me just finish, and then you can jump in here, Rearson. The only other point that I'm going to have to say is there's also this globalist conspiracy that they're going to try to roll up all the banks into one as well. Again, that's also a possibility. And Rearson, off to you.
Okay. So in regards to TD, they do have operation cells at the border. There's the TD Boston Gardens or something like that. I can't remember. So the RBC has US-based operations as well, but Capital One here, Canada, all they can do is just credit cards. So a lot of protectionism on our side and coerced, agreed upon, open market. It was actually something that Trump had a big problem with the Canadian banks. It's like, they can do business with us, but we can't bring ours over there. So anyway, TD was in the process of looking at buying up
First Horizon.
Yeah, something like that, and then they backed out. Now, I don't know if it was TD Canada or if it was the TD US based operations. I know that I brought this up before, but Canadian and American banks are Canada's banks are in better shape because they're not nearly as over leveraged as the American banks are. And you know about fractional reserve lending.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bloody fucking rampant down south of the border. They're like 95% plus over leveraged. So the amount of money that they've given out in the past, they have maybe 5% actual physical cash in the banks to cover if there's a bank run, which they can't do. So now back during the 2008 recession, global recession, Harper was strutting this stuff to basically say that Canadian banks are in better shape. Yeah, we were in better shape. But again, my old MP, Garth Turner, had brought this up at the time, and basically the Canadian banks are loaning to each other every single fucking day. I don't know how they do it. I don't understand the whole concept. But they're loaning out to each other every day, and it has to be paid to each other. Otherwise, the whole fucking thing is going to come down like a house of cards. So this, I apologize for saying it this way, but I will say what needs to be said. But this Canadian smugness that we have, that we're infected with, well, we're not like Americans. Well, maybe not, but it doesn't mean that this is the way that it should be or is supposed to be. Anyway, at the end of the day, things are not that good. I mean, I've heard of TD being somehow connected to here she comes, Epstein.
Okay.
Second here.
Okay, just so you know, folks, the bank that that was also on the verge of potentially going down was Pac West, and their situation was a little bit more solid than First Dominion, but I mean not by much. The whole situation with that one is the fact that the whole problem is that, I mean, some of the speculation around why the Fed or the U.S. government decided to buy First Republic was to buy some more time in order to fix the problem. Now, are they fixing the problem? I don't know. They acted very irresponsibly during COVID. In fact, they are acting so irresponsibly that they're probably, like, for instance, and we may be actually adding this in as a topic for 30310. The governments worldwide, specifically Trudeau, is acting as though he never specifically called that he never specifically called unvaccinated He basically was treating unvaccinated like they were subhumans.
I am not an animal. More or less.
Well, pretty much. I mean, yeah. I mean, I might just add this in for 310 because I've been meaning to talk about this one for a while. Various governments are now trying to gaslight their citizens and try to pretend that they weren't treating the unvaccinated like they were subhuman. The only elected official in the West, and by the way, when I include West, that includes Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the United States, Great Britain, Western Europe, etc., the only elected official in the West that has openly apologized for the way its citizens got treated during this quote unquote pandemic was the premier of Alberta, the place where I'm living. Literally the only one that did it.
We heard
Continue, Gerson.
well, I don't really. I'm sorry to say this, man, but there is no solution to fixing this whole banking problem. I will be back. Sorry, I'll be back. Go on with Elby. I'll jump in when I jump.
Okay, all right. Well, I have to go on to topic number 2 then. Okay, topic number 2. This one's actually kind of funny, right? Because this whole concept of nature versus nurture has been going on for a while, and among the things that has occurred around this issue, I'm going to say this, I got to try to get to the point here as quickly as I can because I get really annoyed, for instance, at one particular YouTuber, Undead Chronic. If you ever listen to this, like, man, dude, you take way too long to get to the point of the actual of your live streams. It's part of the reason why I've never been able to fully get into you, because it's like, man, you do 15, 20 minutes of 15, 20 minutes of filler and jokes and whatever. And I mean, sometimes I really wish that you would get into the live stream. But to make the whole issue here, Ryan Webb, a Republican councilman, decided to troll leftists by declaring himself a lesbian woman of color. Now, obviously, if you've seen photos of Ryan Webb, he is not a woman of color. That is the issue, though. The leftists have done this to themselves. I saw a debate very recently, and it's like, this is part of the reason why cancel culture is such a big thing, is that when these individuals have to come out into the open and try to justify their beliefs with some science or scientific, and there's like a whole scientific industry, a lot of it being propped up, I suspect, by the Pritzkers, to try to make this look legitimate. I'm going to point out something to you, though. There were more than a few people in Germany back in the 30s who were quite willing to take money from the then National Socialist or Nazi Party to produce racial-based science to back their points. And the difference between what is happening in the 30s and what's happening now is that there's this little thing called the internet. Now, what happened with the internet, and they have been desperately trying to get, like, for instance, YouTube and Facebook and Facebook and Google to or Twitter up until just a few months ago. They were desperately trying to get them and Wikipedia and what the hell is that one? I've still got it on my I think I still have it on my phone. That Quora, and they've been desperately trying to get, and of course, as many sites as humanly possible, to toe the social justice line. The only problem is that if they try to toe the social justice line too much, aka what happened with Wikipedia, what happened with Twitter, etc., 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 they lose legitimate. Like, for instance, Wikipedia is good on some stuff, but if you want to talk about gender issues, if you want to talk about politics, you want to talk about Trump, you want to talk about the manosphere, you want to talk about any of the issues that leftists care about, you know, the whole thing kind of like, Wikipedia is not a particularly good source of information. Now, this again, right? This is an attempt basically to employ what is popularly from the book 1984 known as word speak. And with word speak, what that is an attempt to control the language in order to dictate the flow of information, in order to dictate soft power and thought. The whole issue with that, though, is that in order to do that, you actually have to control all avenues of information. The problem is that for them is that they don't control all avenues of information. Yes, they are trying to get at the choke points, the providers, but even that has got limited effect, via VPNs, etc., etc., etc. So I mean, it's like, it's not, no matter which way they cut it, like, they're not really able to control all the information. As a direct result, the holes and the gaps, for instance, in gender theory are and I will say, the super tanker sized holes in gender theory and transgender science and whatever are so big that they can be exposed, and they can't come out into the open, because if they come out into the open, they'll get absolutely destroyed. And of course, what happens is that they leave themselves open for what Ryan Webb did. Of course, leftists are freaking out, but it's like they can only freak out so much, because they're also the ones championing the gender is a social construct issue. And because they're championing the gender is a social construct issue, we cannot they're like, I mean, there was an Australian senator at one point who tried to call themselves a woman of color. And here's the thing, right? Various politicians will use the fact that, say, for instance, Ryan Webb is a white male as an excuse to disqualify what he's saying on a particular topic. But because they pull the gender is a social construct card out at the same time, all Ryan Webb has to do is declare himself a transgender lesbian woman of color, or a lesbian woman of color, and kaboom, right? That argument is lost, because while they're trying to use the fact that, say, Ryan Webb is a white male, they're also championing that race, gender, etc., etc., those are all social constructs. And those are two diametrically opposed things that they're championing at the same time. And they don't want to admit that they're championing them at the same time. Hence, you're going to see more of this, right? It's like, oh, well, you're a white male. We could just dismiss what you're saying. Okay, then I'm just going to declare myself a lesbian woman of color. And, then you can't use that as an excuse to assist what I'm saying. Oh, well, you're using that as an excuse to get your voice heard. Well, you just used the fact that I'm a white man, and I'm not a white man, by the way. Rearson is, though. Welcome back, Whitey.
Any more whites, and it would be Zikaya.
If you were any more white, dude, they'd be able to use you as a bounce board on movie sets.
Well, Well, I am half Germanic and I am Slavic, so
Well, at least oh God, that one wrestler, Sheamus, man, he flaming red hair, and I don't know because I actually saw him in person, man. Like
okay.
Sheamus is whiter than white. Like
was he WWE?
WWE, Sheamus is whiter than white. Like I mean, I'm not gonna say he's like fully white, but I mean he would if he was out in the sun, he'd go from 0 to sunburned in 3.6 minutes. Like the guy
He should be wearing
probably cannot
Oh,
go out.
Oh, he's Irish. I was going to say he should be wearing a kilt, but that's the wrong country. Still, wow. Yep.
Yeah, he's whiter than white. If he was any and they could use him as a balance board. Like that's how white he is.
With the freckles.
With the freckles. But yeah, anyway, So anyway, they're countermanding themselves and they're defeating themselves, which is exactly what we figured is going to happen. Which, by the way, is why this crowd, whenever they step out into the open and start trying to debate their points, they get shot down, and they usually cannot win except by twisting around the facts that are being said to them, or by outright lying. And you saw that very recently when Tim Pool had the host of the Surfs on his show, and the guy got destroyed. Now, Rearson was doing his dutiful husband duties, but he's back now, so I will let him comment.
Oh, I want to so fucking slap you for that one. As the saying goes, anyway, that. No, it's about fucking time that someone did this and threw it back at them. I mean, they were losing their mind over the whole thing, I'm sure, to say the least. And it serves them right. I mean, I am so tired of it, all of that crap being dumped or thrown in my face. What guy? You don't understand. Well, maybe I don't. But doesn't mean that we can't just, at some point, this whole, well, I'm just talking about things in the past and white people did this and white people did that. It's like, well, yeah, we did. But, again, how far back do you have to go before it becomes relevant? Which is a topic of discussion that I really don't want to go into. Well, now that they've gotten a good taste of bad attitude back at them, I am so thankful that it's finally someone had not, well, I suppose figuratively speaking in this case, someone had the balls, but had the brains to actually pull this on them. And it's amazing that they just don't like it. I don't know why. I really don't know why, but what do I know? I'm just a white male.
No, you're not. You can declare yourself a lesbian woman of color. It's all a social construct. You're an Asian
I was going to say,
lesbian trapped in a man's body. That's what you are.
yeah, that's and Ben, you took the words out of my mouth because that's exactly what I would have said with this whole freaking situation. Yeah, I'll just be a trap. I'm just an Asian lesbian. It's just in a white body. Oh well. Bah. Fuck. I mean, recently enough, there was a gentleman from John Hopkins University that someone finally said this whole identity politics. Well, it was more at the. It was more about the. It's more about the fucking. Sorry, man. I'm trying to.
We're getting old, man.
My knee is not the way it used to be. I think I'm starting to limp around here, and I don't know if I've got arthritis or if it's an injury from a long time ago or just something. I got to talk to my freaking doctor. Not that I trust her really all that much, but anyway. No, the whole transgender thing is that it is a mental disorder. Someone finally has said that there's a problem and it's all upstairs. It's about fucking time. This is, to me, no bloody different. And again, when we knew each other in Banff, if I was to go out of my way to dress more Japanese, I'm sure even you would kind of go, dude, what the hell is going on here? You know, like, as much as I like the Japanese language, love the women, love the food, I've enjoyed being there as well, too. At the end of the day, I look at myself in the mirror, and guess what? There's a white guy staring back at me. What the fuck? What? No. Yes. Yes, there is a white guy staring back at me. And I'm okay with that. I don't have any hang-ups over it. I'm not... I don't have to go to therapy. I don't need medication. I don't have to surgically alter myself. This is the meat suit that I was born in. This is the meat suit I'm going to, when I expire, I will be expiring in. And I'm okay with that. Unfortunately, there are a growing number of individuals, although, and I realize we're getting off topic, but in a sense, though, this is really, it actually is related. Like, it really is related. Back in 1986, pharmaceutical companies were let off the hook for bad shit that they're going to make. Vaccines, drugs, medications, stuff in the water where they're turning the frogs gay, you know, that sort of thing. And what we're seeing now, I think, can really start to be backtracked to about that period of time. Because the amount of people that were misidentifying themselves, whether it's race, sex, whatever, didn't really... Things seem to be pretty steady overall. And then apparently with the Gen Zers is when it started to... is when the numbers started to come out. No pun intended with the whole thing with with what we're talking about here and overall, but that's my opinion based on some facts that I've seen in one form or another. So I suppose at the end of the day, take that however you will. I don't know what else to say except, again, I'm glad that someone is making the left have to think a little bit more. Not very successfully, but think a little bit more. And maybe, just maybe, start to have them kind of wake up and, well, leave it at that. I don't know what else to say. So, yep, I'm done on this one.
Well, I think we should all give a brave stand-up and salute for Ryan Webb for coming out of the closet and declaring himself a lesbian woman of color trapped in a man's body. Because in truth, every man is actually a lesbian trapped in a man's body. Except for the gay ones.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's right, folks. I'm a lesbian trapped in a man's body.
Now, which one are you? Are you like the French type with the, you know, with the preferably with the nice big tits? You know.
I just like big boobs. Period. Just there was a lot of French Canadians out. Although God, we won't get into a certain blonde who was an absolute separatist and racist asshole.
No, not asshole. She was a cunt.
Oh my God. I am. The more I swear to God, and we're going to be getting into a lot of Manosphere content this week, but not dropping the ball and not getting involved with her in that type of a manner was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a case of doing the right thing by accident.
Well, hey, you walk the wing, you live to tell the tale.
Well, mixed. I mean, looking back on it, mixed messages. Couldn't tell one way or the other. She was saying one thing to me and then saying something completely different to someone else, right? And it was like, and I mean, I had noticed that she was maybe a little, that she had some rather strong opinions, but I really didn't care because boobs.
Hey, back when we didn't know any better.
I didn't care because boobs. Actually, even if
what was the problem at the time, rookie? Boobs. And what about now? Still boobs.
Okay, I will freely admit this because we're not on YouTube anymore. It's like I would bang a social justice warrior chick, and I would actually maybe even pretend to be somewhat sympathetic to them. I would end it before it got serious, obviously, but yeah, boobs. Anyway, continue.
I'm glad it's just the two of us tonight. I really am.
One standard, no standard. It's my turn to be a quote unquote sexist, misogynistic pig. Oh my, we're not on YouTube anymore, so I guess I'm no longer concerned about demonetization.
Why?
And for the individual who's going to hear this,
to the hooked on comics.
and who was reporting my content on YouTube, even though I had only 8 subs. Try harder, dude. Good luck trying to get me. Good luck trying to get me off Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute. That's all I gotta say, especially BitChute. And with that, we're gonna go on to the next topic.
That sounds good to me. You got to turn that into a commercial now. You know that.
Oh, I should.
Yep.
All right.
Just planting that seed. Go ahead.
All right. So the next topic, and like I said, this is a Manosphere heavy show tonight. Now, if you go into malls and whatever, and you look around, there was a woman, like when I was living in a different part of Edmonton, there was a woman who ran a bridal shop probably about a block away from where I lived, and I mean, I respected her hustle. I mean, she was dedicated to her job, and I respected that of her. I had never any intention of actually going into her shop at any point, but I respected her hustle. However, if you go down the street or if you go into malls, one of the things that was always that always kind of stood out for me is, when you go into a mall, maybe you had generally noticed, and this is something that was like, in particular at West Ed Mall, this is something that was really, is they always had those jewelry shops right there on the corners. They still have them, but I mean, they would have multiple jewelry shops going down the street, and they even had the occasional bridal shop. The number of jewelry stores has significantly decreased. I can't remember. I don't know what happened to 118 Bridal, but I'm actually gonna have to hop in my car and drive down. And yeah, I used to live just off 118 Avenue. I'm going to have to drive down the street and see what happened to 118 Bridal at the end of this show because curiosity has gotten the better of me now. The whole, and I was just thinking about this because I actually saw an absolute, and I suddenly realized that I hadn't seen one of these in a really long time, and that was one of those, one of those bridal parades, the ones where they're going down the street honking their horns and they got the cans attached to the back and all that stuff.
I'm not seeing many of those here in Calgary.
I have not seen any of those. I saw one about 2-3 weeks ago, and I was realizing that's the first one that I had seen in a couple of years. So what was making the rounds in the MGTOW community and what was making the rounds in the Manosphere is one of the largest bridal companies in the United States went bankrupt. David Bridal. Why did get it? Why would a bridal company go bankrupt? Because they're not making money. Why are they not making money? Because people aren't getting married at the rates that they used to. And of course, they rule. I mean, if you listen, this fact was not covered by anybody in the mainstream, but it was covered in the Manosphere, specifically with the MGTOW community. And this is something that a lot of the opponents of the Manosphere continue to miss. And this is something that has been pointed out specifically about feminism, right? Like, not every woman is a feminist, but a lot of women are influenced by feminism, even though they don't call themselves feminists. They will adopt feminist mindsets without even thinking about it. This is exactly what's happening with men. No, not every man is a member of the Manosphere. Not every man has openly declared themselves to having quote unquote taken the red pill, or would even admit to having taken the red pill. Oh, and by the way, the red pill is not an exclusively male experience. The red pill is different for women, but it's there. Um, the the issue with this is that even though a lot of men might not necessarily be familiar with the workings or the concepts of MGTOW or the red pill or the men's rights movement, the ideas, the concepts, and the reality of the situation around them, right? Like, if you stop and ask a man on the street, like, do you know a guy that's getting shafted in their divorce? Like, almost every guy out there is going to know at least one guy either in their circle or one step removed. Now that the Manosphere in particular has reached that point where it's at that saturation level where almost every male, at least in North America, has somebody in the Manosphere that's either in their circle or one step removed, you're starting to see the same thing. There's no real benefits to getting married. Like, there is none, right? I can remember when I did the Sterling weekend. This is way back in 1998, by the way. Good God, that was 25 years ago. Oh my God, that was 25 years ago.
We're getting old, man. I know.
But back then in the Sterling in the Sterling Institute, like, I mean, they literally openly said, "No, the wedding's not for you. The wedding is for her." Right? The wedding is supposed to be her moment, which is why you see mothers and women getting really, at least in the West, getting really uptight about weddings. I don't know what it's like in the East, but yeah. But you know, the wedding has also been reduced to almost like a legal binding agreement that effectively, and I'm going to have to apologize to all married guys out there when they hear this, but this is effectively it. The moment you get married, you are left completely and utterly at her whim. Your reproductive choices are taken away. She can say whatever, whenever about you at any point and be believed thanks to the Duluth model, unless you're really careful and are like basically basically documenting everything. Terrence Pop goes into the fact that at one point with his wife, you know, he does not have any undocumented communication with her. Like he will not talk to her on the phone. Like he will not meet with her in person. Everything that he does with his ex-wife is documented. And when she and to make matters even worse, his ex-wife actually tried to use that against him in court. And he basically had his lawyer go, well, yeah, you lied about something in court once, and the judge over there went along with it. So I'm not having anything undocumented with you because you lied. You know, like, and I asked this back in the 90s, like, what is the benefit for getting married? I was, oh, hell, even when Rearson knew me back when we were living in Banff, I mean, I didn't talk about this very much, but I had really severe doubts about marriage as an institution, even back then. Like even going into even back when I was in high school, back in the 80s, which is now I'm really dating myself.
Well,
Uh,
I was gonna say between the two of us, I don't remember you talking about that. I really
no, I
don't.
never said it. It was never relevant to what we were talking about.
No, because it was D and boobs.
Big titted French women. Or in your case,
Japanese women.
in your case about Japanese women, in particular about that one that worked in the jewelry store,
Oh.
where your right arm would start suspiciously shaking whenever.
Hey, she, yeah, here away. Yep, we'll leave that one alone.
Oh, she was hot. Oh
Oh,
my
oh.
God, she was hot.
Hot AF is a polite way to put it. Tall too.
Yeah, she's probably a mommy now, and because she's Asian, she would be like probably in her early 50s, late 40s. Yeah. The wall has come for her, and when Asian women hit the wall, they hit the wall real fucking hard. But I mean, back then though, oh my God. Anyway, we're kind of getting up.
And that was for both of us because you wouldn't have said no either.
No, I wouldn't have said no either.
Anyhow,
And
anyhow.
she found out my name because there was another she wasn't working with her, but there was another Asian woman who worked up at the Springs who I was talking to, and that's how H Hirley got my name. Is at one time I actually saw this other, and she was actually she was pretty tall as well. Um, and she wasn't Hiraway Hop, but she was still pretty good. And I was actually talking to her right outside that particular jewelry store. And I talked to her for a few minutes, and then I ran off. And like literally, within 10 feet of me walking away from her, Hiraway was out the door going over to talk to her about me. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. But yeah, no, we didn't talk. It wasn't relevant to the where we were at the time. I had really severe doubts about marriage, and yes, it's reached the point now where conservatives have started to notice. It's reached the point now where bridal companies and people who work in the bridal industry are noticing a severe downturn in it. So apparently there's some wedding photographers and whatever who have had to venture out and do other things other than wedding photography. The yeah, and a lot of that, and you won't hear conservatives admit it and you won't generally, and they're bending over backwards to avoid mentioning the manosphere. Even conservatives are doing this. They're doing everything they can to actually avoid addressing the actual facts of why the whole institution of marriage is failing, trying to guilt men into going back. The reason why the marriage industry is failing is because the industry itself is not to blame. The industry itself is just there providing a service. The only thing is that the laws are so out of whack and out of date, and the family judges are corrupt, and the divorce judges are corrupt, and the whole system is corrupt, and it's like even providing the necessary information to men to deal with the divorce. And by the way, I am just talking about divorce. I am not even talking about what can happen to you when you're married. Hell, you don't even have to be married in order for that. And basically, in almost any if you really wanted to come down to it, right? Any interaction you have, and this is something that will make a lot of people uncomfortable. If you have an issue with this, feel free to email me at butthurtidon'tfuckingcare.com.
I thought it would be something like kissmyhalfnativeass.com.
Or you can call, or the other email account, crybaby@kissmyhalfnativeass.com. You can email that. Here's the bottom line: is that and until they actually start to address this issue in earnest, the bridal industry is going to start falling apart. The jewelry industry is going, because if you start listening to commercials for jewelry companies now, like they're getting into lesser quality diamonds. They're trying to come up with other ways to sell their products other than marriage. It's like, yeah, until they actually address this issue in particular, until they actually get around to addressing that, the bridal industry is going to continue to shrink. It's going to continue to not work because, and it's like you could do all the censoring of the manosphere that you want. You can send your little feminist you can send your feminist harpies into high schools to try to lecture guys. But of course, right, the first thing, all I got to do if that happens is, all I got to tell those boys is that, oh, well, here's what you're going to hear. You're going to hear that it's all your fault, that you're a bad person because you're a male, and that you have to man up, but the women don't. That's what you're going to hear. Okay? And it's like, when your opposition, when all you got to do, and by the way, they will the feminist contingent of this is refusing to even acknowledge this. In fact, they're getting so bad that at one point, apparently the law never passed, but they were attempting in Britain to pass an online misogyny bill, which would have made it a crime to be critical of feminist content online. No word of a lie there. This came out right around the same time that Tate was getting arrested. And oh, by the way, if you want to go there, and this is something that got pointed out to me on one of the chat boards, and again, right, if you have a complaint, feel free to email me at butthurt@idon'tfuckingcare.com or crybabykissmyhalfnativeass.com. Males are the ones that build this society. Yes, we're the ones. We make the roads. We build the buildings. We make the cars. We do most of the heavy and hard labor.
We
right?
saved the town of Banff from burning down.
We're the ones that saved, as opposed to, oh God, I'm gonna have to go look. You're gonna have to send me that article, dude.
Holy fuck! Oh,
I
can't. Oh yeah, no, we have to because we live there. That's where we met. That is on the top.
Was that last week or was it this week?
Last week when they finally admitted it, I think is the best way to say it.
Well, we could if you can find that article, we can add it on to 6 depending upon time. Because we only got 5 articles for tonight.
And so okay, I'll look into it.
All right, so the whole situation, send me the article so I can read it and remember to talk for a very long time here. We're the ones that make the society click. And having males, they need that male labor, say, between the ages of 18 and 65 to keep this society going. And when you have, like, for instance, Andrew Tate is not my personal favorite guy, but when you got guys in the manosphere telling them that the government doesn't give a shit about you and you're just a tool to them, and you have clear and open evidence, and this is, by the way, before the WEF and all of their stuff came out, to back up what they're saying, right? It's no wonder that they're trying to get guys like Andrew Tate to be quiet, right? Because Andrew Tate, regardless of what you're saying about him, and he's not necessarily the best messenger, although he is definitely the loudest, what he's basically saying is that, go out and live for yourself. You don't necessarily have to be a slave to the government. You don't necessarily have to do what the government tells you to do, especially when they're treating you like you're a tool. And they cannot have guys like Tate taking that power away from them. And with that, Pearson, you're up.
Okay. What I found, I sent you in Telegram.
Okay, I'm going to look up in Telegram. Start talking.
All right. Let me just switch over. Sorry, man. What was? Oh, the marriage rates are going down. Yeah. This is not the time for me to talk about this one. I'm gonna have to defer. I will have to defer when it's a little bit safer for me to go into that. So let's move on to the next one.
Oh, I'm talking about David. We're talking. You don't have anything to say? Oh, that's never mind. Yeah, I get it.
I'm looking up something that I did get on Counter Signal about the whole thing with Banff. So let me see. They want to do smallify Alberta education system. We'll do anything, whatever it takes to get hired or to get re-elected again here. Banff freaking fire. I knew I've got it somewhere.
Oh my God! Yeah, they let the fire. They let a controlled berm get out of control, and it was being.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, read you the topics. We'll add it in as number 6. But let's move on to. You don't want to. Obviously, because of current situation at your
home.
current situation, we will skip the conclusion of number 3 and move on to number 4.
And that is
The
Crowder?
the Steven Crowder situation.
Oh man. Oh boy. Yep.
Okay, I will be the first. Okay, I will be the first to admit. Okay, like I am not a. I get that Pearson here is much more of a fan of Steven Crowder than I am. Steven Crowder is funny. He makes good points. He's one of the him and Alec guys like him and Alex Stein and whatever, like the guys that are willing to get out there and make these leftists look like complete and absolute idiots. And to see leftists doing things like taking, like for instance, prove me wrong, that whole thing, and like having people sit down and then having them try to take segments of these interviews to make Steven Crowder look wrong without showing the full context. I've seen that with all those changed my mind. And also the the one that I always found most amusing with Crowder was at one time when he was at that event in Texas, and this one woman literally reported him and accused him of doing something. And when she was confronted, she got all of her friends together. And they, like, instead of dealing with the issue, they all just started chanting in unison. And it's like, you know, Crowder has zero qualms about using the woman's full name to embarrass the crap out of her. I've also seen multiple people. I saw this. Again, this happened in Austin because I think Crowder is based out of Texas. Like he went out to one of those change my mind things, and this was a parade. This is a gay pride parade or whatever in Austin. Like you could literally see this one gay guy or this one transgender guy coming from 100 meters away, and you could tell he was fully intent on creating a problem. He tried really desperately to make it look like Crowder assaulted him, but Crowder like literally explained moment for moment what he was, because Crowder's got, like me, he's got some self-defense training, right? And the guy tried to lie about it. But one of the things, and this is one of the reasons why I never got behind Crowder, because he had that one really, and this is something that that I have with a lot of conservatives. He did not want to acknowledge the full breadth of the issues that the manosphere was talking about, which, by the way, is why most people in the manosphere tend to be more of a libertarians as opposed to conservatives, because they know the government doesn't have their back and know the conservatives are not acknowledging the problem. Well, guess what happened? And I'm going to get into the realm of speculation here, but I'm also going to go into some solid facts. Crowder went through some medical difficulties at one point. Now, again, I have not had it happen to me. The closest I ever had to encountering potential financial issues around illness was when I got sick for COVID, and the recovery end of my getting COVID lasted much longer than I thought it was going to. And I mean, had I not had money in the bank, it would have been a much it would have been a much more financially harsh experience on my end. The whole situation with Crowder is that, again, and this is something that has really annoyed me about conservatives, is the fact that they don't want to acknowledge this problem. I mean, I've seen Lauren Chin, and let's not even get into Tommy Lair and All Men Are Trash. That's another bad one. there's been a lot of dropping of the ball, for lack of a better word, on this, and the whole situation has boiled in. So Crowder ended up coming out of some difficulties, and of course his wife was also pregnant, with children. So I can imagine that it wasn't necessarily the the happiest time for Crowder, for him, right? Now, he got better, he returned to work, but what had happened is that the domestic situation, now that there was kids, now that there was some financial difficulties, now that a lot of the attention had to be on Steve and not Steve's wife, is that his wife became unhappy. And she filed for divorce. Now, Crowder kept this particular issue quiet as long as he could, but he couldn't keep it quiet forever. The moment it became public, literally, and Terrence Popp actually did a video about this whole issue, and I will actually post it up in the low and post it up in. Well, I can't post it up in the low bar of YouTube, but I will actually post it up in the low bar of the sites that I have, because I can't obviously do it on YouTube. And it was done 7 days ago. What Steven Crowder and every man can expect during a divorce. Literally, what occurred. And like straight out of the divorce playbook. Literally, the first thing that happened with Steven Crowder is that his wife immediately started a smear campaign. So the videos came out and the responses came out to him. And being a member of the Manosphere, and oh, by the way, just so that you know, by no means do I endorse physical retaliation or being abusive towards women, but there is this little thing called boundaries, and I have not listened to the Crowder reaction to his wife. What I will throw in, though, in regards to that particular situation is that, I find it like the fact that she even recorded this and then used it in the divorce strongly suggests that she had maybe planned on doing this from the start. So, so Terrence Popp goes through them all, and Steven Crowder's ex-wife has gone through, and Terrence Popp does this. What at Steven Crowder and every man can expect during a divorce, live from the lair. Terrence Popp. In this video, you will see divorce damnation, and there's like 9 steps there. You've already seen character assassination. You've already seen his ex try to lay all the guilt and shame down. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who are fans of Steven Crowder, you might want to go over to Terrence Popp's video and send this to Crowder. I know he's not comfortable with this, but again, right, like at this point, Steven Crowder's ex-wife is doing all of these things. So we've already had the guilting, we've already had the character assassination. If Crowder chooses to put up a fight, and I really hope he does, you're going to start seeing even more characters, which, by the way, also happened with Johnny Depp. You may, although Crowder might try to keep this stuff quiet, destruction, disappear. You know, I don't know whether Crowder has access to his facility. Hopefully he was. Again, I don't think he was, but you know, he's going to lose half his stuff. He's going to have maybe some even personal items of his disappear. For guys who are married and have items that have familial or sentimental value, I understand that you might not want, especially if they have familial value or generational value. I understand that you might not want to get this particular book or item marked in some way. But if your wife has access to it and whatever, and I hate having to say this, but mark your stuff. Like, get markings on your stuff. Because like the number of cases where guys have had stuff that had their tools, their car, whatever, stolen because they got a false allegation and restraining order and couldn't get at their work materials for weeks or months, and when they finally got back into the house, all of this stuff had conveniently disappeared. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened with Crowder, but yeah. One of the things I'm going to the other part on this is, you're going to have to, there's just a lot of things that are going to have to happen here. It's all going to come down to this, I'm hoping that he's not just going to and again, right, unless you have an experienced divorce lawyer, right, you might just be tempted to take the deal offered and not fight it. If you fight it in court, you will get better access. Hopefully he's smart enough to realize that. The emotions that come afterwards, again, I haven't dealt with them. The depression, the self-destruction, the depression, the red pill rage, the anger, whatever, I have not dealt with it. I have seen what happened to my brother when he went through this, though. I'm hoping that Crowder is smart enough to do this. On the flip side, and I'm going to have to be harsh with Crowder here on this, and there's very little chance that Crowder is actually going to hear this, but, I'm pretty sure he has been told this, just like a lot of guys who are conservatives have had this explained to them multiples of times. When MGTOWs have been saying that marriage is a toxic, destructive institution that takes advantage of men, I was not they were not talking out their asses. MGTOW is not talking out its ass when it says that. It's not the flip side of feminism. Any involvement you have with a woman, and I'm sorry, Crowder, that it happened to you and that you had to find out about this the hard way, but the information available out there, and it was available to you. I get that you're a busy guy and that you have a whole station to run, and you have employees, etc., that you maybe didn't have the time to look. But I'm almost certain that someone has sent you, and has definitely sent you, this information to you now. I don't care if you're fucking comfortable hearing this. I don't care if you like a complete fucking, because I know you're probably getting a lot of this right now. I don't care if you're angry or uncomfortable hearing this stuff, right? This is some fucking tough love, Steve, because I've had very mixed opinions about you over the years, but yeah, I've listened to you comment about the manosphere before, right? You clearly did not bother to listen to anything that anyone in the manosphere was saying about divorce. Now you're finding out the hard way. Fuck your ego. Go over, look at the fucking video that Terrence Pop did about this. Write it down, memorize it. If you have to get yourself a better lawyer, get yourself a better fucking lawyer. Right? Don't take the fucking deal. And no, you are not alone in the issues around anger, depression, whatever. Right? If you do this properly, you know, you can probably come out of this okay. And also, for the love of fucking God, do not marry again. Not talking out my ass here about that. Rearson, are you back yet?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you're up.
I believe that this is a related topic because this is about Crowder, but it's not about him, it's about someone that was on his show that seems to, allegedly, run afoul of the man. And the interaction with it, he's, I can't remember the gentleman's name, he's a comedian, but he's claiming that Crowder has basically ran him into a corner, and at one point it basically said, I own you, you know, this contract between the two of us, you're mine, or you're my bitch, or whatever the case may be. And it doesn't paint him in a very good light. Now, I have no idea what's going to happen with all of that. This is his side of the story. And from what I recall, it made sense in my head, and I'm just trying to bring it all back together again here, right back down to it all. He, it would do a lot of justice to be able to see the actual contract that's in question. So, now, for something like this to happen with his wife, as you said, this is something that's been premeditated. And that's really the only word I can use. I mean, because that's really what it is. It's premeditation. And I haven't heard or listened to anything in the news and the media about this because I'm not interested. Like, I really am not that interested. And given his Bill, his half-Asian lawyer, whatever his name is, probably doesn't specialize in divorce, but I can guarantee you he's got one hell of a lawyer that's been recommended and sent over to him to fight this. This is going to be expensive. This is going to be messy, and I'm running in my head right now shots that I've seen where they've talked about something on his show, and then it cuts back to him, and he has this expected look of, well, you never guess what I'm going to say about this one, now will you? And it's... The problem that's going to happen with this whole divorce, at least on his side, and you've already touched on it, is going to be his ego, because he has, my opinion, untrained opinion, is that he probably has a massive ego. And I would say that it's quite safe to say that, or yeah.
Oh no, it's yeah. You know, you have to have a bit of an ego to be doing. Well, actually, hell, you have to have an ego to be doing what I'm doing. So,
Yes, but as it was brought up with, I think it was V that had said this, is that you're not changing your style, and you'll admit when you're wrong as well too. Crowder, not so much. At least I don't see it. Now, I could be wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things that he's done that I was quite happy with. I did.
oh,
follow his stuff.
nobody trolls like nobody. Well, Alex Stein trolled almost is the only other guy I've seen that has trolled better than Steven Crowder.
Well, that one conference with, I can't remember the woman's name. I'll know it to hear it, but Lyle Yiannopoulos was there, and whatever else. Summers, I think her last name was. Or Summers was something in her name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But, there was that. Oh, there was that. Do you remember Monsters, Inc.? You watched that?
Yeah.
You remember that? You remember that sluggish female?
Yep.
Yeah, there was one of those in the crowd that just seemed to have been got the attention of being filmed their reaction or whatever the case may be. That is, if that's not going to retract your equipment, gentlemen, unless you're into unless you're an ugly chubby chaser, I don't know what will. But I remember she was not happy with what he was saying, but. This whole thing for him is going to be what does the saying go? The bigger you are, the harder they fall. And this is going to be a big fall from grace. I don't know what's going to happen at this point with him. I wish him the best, and I know that he'll try to work this out to the best of his advantage. But I'm not hopeful. Like, I really am not. And actually, this would have segued perfectly with the bridal shops shutting down.
It did. That's just why I put it there.
Okay, all right. My apologies. Sorry, it's just present company included. Once he's able to fully and freely talk about this, oh my God. The impact that this is going to have already on a necessary institution is probably the right word, just because of you questioning it, shall we say. But like this whole thing with change your mind, that's been pretty impactful overall, at least on the right. If he's allowed to, when he's going to open his mouth and talk about his whole experience on this one, I think it's going to scare. I think it's going to scare more people, more men away from the whole thing as well too. But then again, my opinion being that the people that are hell-bent on destroying the nuclear family, this is a great way to make sure that the nuclear family doesn't propagate. And then countries are going to rely on immigration, and well, I'll leave that one alone. I'll leave that hanging in the air. But overall, yeah, going to be a lot more. Can expect government if things don't change. Can expect to see more immigration from non-Christian countries, shall we say, in a certain middle part of the world, and that's just going to accelerate the demise. I think the only countries that'll still be Christian-based are going to be around Russia, Poland, Hungary, maybe Romania. Basically, former Eastern Bloc countries. That's going to be it. That is If things don't change. I hope they do, but if they don't. So, and I am going to watch that Divorce Damnation. Life in the Lair, that was 1 day ago. Well, 6 days ago. Yeah, that was 6 days ago. What Stephen Crowder and every man can expect during a divorce. Life in the Lair. And I'm going to be watching that on Rumble. So that will be very, very interesting. So let's move on.
I will throw in one other thing. Look, look, Candace, I get that you had issues with Stephen Crowder. And Crowder was, and again, right, this is something that, if Crowder had tried this with me, it would not have gone for particularly well. But, I never actually met the guy in person, but apparently Crowder is a guy my size. In fact, we're almost the exact same height. Now, Candace, I get that you and Stephen Crowder have your differences.
I'm assuming you're talking about Candace Owens.
Candace Owens.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
I get that you and Stephen Crowder have deciding to jump on Crowder when he's going through a divorce to launch a lawsuit on him
oh my God,
is a very sleazy move. Yeah, okay, Crowder is not a perfect guy by any stretch of the imagination. Crowder's not a perfect guy. Yeah, he does, because I have seen him do it. I have seen him use his physical size to indirectly intimidate the people he was interviewing. I have seen him do that. Again, if he had tried that with me, it probably would not have gone over particularly well. Because I'm trained. I'm a trained guy too, right? I'm a trained guy. I'm a trained fighter too, and trying to use intimidation on me wouldn't have worked. So yeah, is Crowder a perfect human being? No, absolutely he isn't. But yeah, Candace, the fact that you attempted to use the fact that you chose this particular moment to jump on Crowder and file a lawsuit against him, that does not reflect very well on you.
What?
At all.
Wow.
I got a lot of respect for. I mean, a lot of people seem to forget this about Candace Owens, but Candace Owens actually got her start by literally promoting a leftist doxing site called Social Autopsy, which a few people on the right, specifically Computing Forever, went in and really came at her hard and attacked her about it. Because Candace Owens did not take this site down, nor did she remove any of the hardware or any of the information on it. She didn't remove it for a couple of years before it was fun. And the only reason she removed it was because there was some serious blowback coming her way. So yeah, I would like to. I'm gonna have to remember this about you, Candace. Yeah, I am no fan of Crowder's. I like his content. I like his style. If he tried pulling some of the stuff I've seen with some of his interviews that he had pulled with me, it probably would not have gone very well for him. Yeah, I'm literally almost the exact. I mean, not necessarily in terms of build, but in terms of height. And I'm a trained fighter as well. But I mean, yeah, kicking a person when he's down is not a good look. And that's all I'm going to say about this. I'm sure you have something you want to say about it, so go right ahead.
Oh my god. Fuck. Well, I'm gonna have to revisit a little bit from our black-pilled former co-host, and he had never had anything good to say about her to begin with.
Oh, you mean nihilist?
Nihilist, yeah. Nihilist had nothing good to say about that woman, period. If I remember correctly, one of the words they used to describe her was opportunist, and this stinks of that. I mean, I don't know what slight that she felt by Crowder with the whole thing, or whatever their past is and their interactions. Not that I listen to her very much now anyway, because I have to agree with Nihilist on this one. It's just her behavior shows or seems to indicate the very least an opportunistic woman looking, and she is bright, a very brilliant woman, but looking for the right time to strike. And
well, it shows some serious vindictiveness on her part.
oh yeah, I would use the word cunt.
I mean, no. I mean, I love how she made Patrice Cullors look like an absolute stunned hypocrite a few months back. Right?
Okay, and that's fine. That's great. When it's convenient for her to go on that kind of an attack, we're inclined to accept it and take it to overlook things. Now, I'm not going to give that. Well, I don't listen to her anymore. And when I do, it's basically 1 foot out the door, ready to leave or you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with one female, and she was. You didn't turn your back on this woman, and you didn't dare say anything that she would take offense to, because she was nasty. Overweight, prefers men that have more melanin. Is it melanin?
Yeah, melanized. Yeah.
Yeah. She likes the dark meat, because I think it's some of the dark meat that would go want to poke at that anyway. But and her hair was always perfect. Her nails were perfect, because that's all that she had control over, was how she looked, and she was a repulsive woman inside and out. That's the only thing I can say about that. And it was
don't worry about that. I just added it in as a topic. Don't worry about that for right now.
Yeah. So in terms of Owens, much like Crowder, like I haven't listened to Crowder's stuff in better part of about a year. If I happen to see it, and more importantly, if I have the time for it, I would have, but I don't do it anymore. Because I don't have the time, and I really don't have the interest. So, but my God, for her to, I wonder how much weight gets shed when she uses soap and water is in the shower. Like, I wonder how much slick and sliminess of hers has to wash away because of a chemical reaction, like I said, of soap and water. Not that I haven't. Well, I haven't really taken the woman too seriously. I haven't listened. She hasn't really said anything that's piqued my interest to garner any sort of attention on my part. So, fuck. I don't know what to say. Like, I'm honestly, I'm almost stunned speechless on this one. Like, that's not a dick move. That is an absolute fucking cunt move. And that's what I'm going to leave it at that. This is a fucking cunt move. Next.
Oh, damn. Yeah, Rearson, I was busy downloading that feminist firefighting thing. trying to get that all downloaded onto Skype here so we could talk about it. Okay, but all right. So let's get into the fun part of the show. And yes, we are adding the female firefighters lose control of a controlled bird
Oh my God.
as a topic for number 6. But let's talk about this next one here.
Okay.
And yes, we are actually on a pace to do a very, very short show tonight. Mario Brothers, thus far the only movie this year that has garnered over $1 billion. There is another Tom Cruise movie. There's another Tom Cruise movie that's supposed to come out later this year, which I think is another Mission Impossible, which might be able to do it. Hollywood is just, they're getting so massively, I mean, first of all, because I already covered this in a previous Red Pill Nation episode, I didn't actually add it in. The Oscar, you have to have woke qualifications now to qualify for an Academy Award. Everything that Disney does turns to garbage. All of their movies, which are, and I pointed this out a few years. This is like 2017. I actually pointed out to this one manager in this one movie theater. It's like everything everything here is either a franchise or remake. Like everything you have in here is either a franchise, a movie franchise, or it's a remake, right? And I didn't have to suck it up to go see it because, it is primarily a kids movie, right? I didn't go on a Saturday night or anything like that, but I mean, if a movie is grossing $1 billion, it's a strong suggestion. It's usually a very entertaining movie to go see, and it was a very entertaining movie to go see. It was an interesting because here's one, and there was a number of reasons why. One, they actually respected the source material. Gasp. Yeah, that was the first one they add. Like they literally respected the source material. Two, they actually, and this is another one, they literally just told the story. They didn't insert any social justice messages in. They didn't try to preach. They didn't try to sexualize kids. They just told the goddamn story, right? Age of Dragons, and this is the reason why the social justice warriors went quiet on the Lord of the Rings show and didn't try to play the race card, isn't because Age of Dragons came out at the same time and did a lot of the same stuff that the Amazon series did, but it did it well. Why did they do better? Probably, and by the way, they did race swapping. They did a lot of the PC stuff that Amazon did with their Lord of the Rings series. The difference is that they didn't go right over the top. And here's another one. Here's another shocker. They engaged in fan service and respected the source material.
What? All right.
Yes. A movie,
Respect.
a movie company actually engaged. Yeah, Mario Brothers movie actually engaged in fan service. They made an entertaining movie that was fun to watch, and you could just disengage your brain and you could watch it. It was fun. The effects were good and everything. It's like, no wonder it made $1 billion. Now, you would figure instead,
like Deadpool, the first one.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, well, actually, the second one was pretty good too. I'm really actually liking Dopinder in the second one.
he always got pretty dark at the end of the first movie. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Dopinder's got a very good character arc in both those movies. But
Anyway,
yeah, that's what they did. That's
yeah.
what they did. Um, rather than taking that as a message that, hey, maybe if we went the same route that Mario Brothers did, maybe we could make a $1 billion movie too. No, instead they're angry and they're pissed off because the Mario Brothers movie is actually showing them how wrong they actually are. And because they're showing them how wrong they actually are, they're actually and they have engaged in stuff. And this is no word apparently, although I've never tried because I'm actually just going to buy the DVD for the movie anyway. The there was a mysterious streaming release of Mario Brothers of a cinematic caliber copy of Mario Brothers that was released early to streaming sites, aka you could download a cinematic version of Mario Brothers the movie. Like it was like really high quality. And they don't know what the source was. It was a very strange release in the way it came out. And you're seeing like literally, and this is the other thing that I just saw tonight, just before we started. Like literally an article that came out that said that all 10 of these movies are going to outperform Mario Brothers, including, by the way, the new staggering release of the Marvels. And this guy ran down all 10 of these movies, and it was like, really, Raiders of the Lost Ark is going to outperform Mario Brothers? Like like Raiders of the Lost Ark, from what I understand, runs a serious risk of actually not making any money at all. It actually runs the risk of it being an epic flop.
Well, it probably will be.
Tom, there's a couple movies on that list that might actually turn a profit, but none of the movies that they listed, and they're all major cinematic releases, are gonna. There's a Mission Impossible might get there, but none of the other ones will. And I'm just, I mean, rather than and this is where I'm going to stop here, rather than actually looking at Mario Brothers and saying, yeah, you see that? That's how we make a movie. Fan service, respect for the source material, tell a good story, stop cramming social justice down people's throats. Don't get woke. Just see the movie. That's not a guarantee that the movie's going to do well. But people know the source material for Mario Brothers. Hell, I don't play Mario Brothers. I've never played Mario Brothers, although even I know what the source material is. And with it, I'm going to turn it over to Rearson.
God. Fuck. Well, everything you were just listing off is everything I would love to throw into that. I would love to throw to Kathleen Kennedy's fucking face. Don't piss off the fans. I mean, she had her fucking slimy cunt flap prints all over the not so great third season of The Mandalorian. And you're making me think a lot more about Favreau and his affiliation with the World Economic Forum, but that's another story. That's another thing to look into later on. But fucking give the audience what they want. It's really, really simple. Again, I brought up Deadpool because it was, excuse me, Deadpool was, the character was based on Ryan Reynolds himself. And he is a smartass. He is he's a hoot, although there's things that he has said that makes me question him as well. And I don't want to say this, but I'm prepared for a massive fall from grace with him. And he's not so nice as a person as I would like to want him to. I want to believe that he is. But Deadpool was fucking entertaining. It was hilarious. Again, it was showing at the same time as the female Ghostbusters, and that was just absolute garbage and shit. Not that I went to see it, and I won't see it. But fuck, I mean, Hollywood knows what they have to do to make a good movie. They're well aware what they have to do, but they don't want to. And I think enough of the time, it's the Khazarian Mafia that is trying to take the fun out of society. Actually, now that I think about it, now that I've said it, that's probably about the easiest way to sum the whole problem up. Because that makes perfect sense. The undermining and the attempts to don't look over here, that sort of thing, with movies or whatever else. It's I haven't said this to anybody at this point, Naroki, so you have to apologize for me if I seem a little bit more, not reluctant, but a little more difficult to express myself in this one. But I believe that we are in the beginning stages of the attempt to fully enslave people and to take away their fun. And for those of us that survive shows at the Georgia Guidestones, where they want a set population, those people are going to be... It's going to make life in the Soviet Union at its worst, especially with the propaganda. That's what they're shooting for. I mean, making material that is going to drive away the fans. It's going to make people just not be interested anymore. And if you like what you grew up with, you're going to have to find some other way to do it, and some way to quietly appreciate it or enjoy it or love it, however you want to say it. And again, Darlene is really going on a rant right now because the woman thinks that she can reinvent the wheel. She thinks she knows what's best for everybody. And I mean, I can't see that Lucas was the type to have her under his desk, shall we say. I can't see that, but who knows? Who knows? But
no, Kathleen Kennedy seems to strike me as a type of person who would use extortion.
Like Candace Owens. Well, she is. Well, the two of them are very vindictive women. Very vindictive. It's my way or the highway sort of thing. And I mean, I'm trying to get my hands on the Fantasy Flight Star Wars RPG material. I've got everything I can get my hands on most of the material I can get my hands on in terms of scanned PDFs. And it saves me a lot of money, but I want the actual physical books. And that's going to be the extent of whatever my Star Wars thing is going to be. I mean, again, I didn't see the sequels. I'm glad I didn't see the sequels because my gut was telling me just don't do it. stay out of it. I mean, everything working with Clone Wars was great. What's come out now with the material that Dave Filoni was able to write, he brought the full ending with Ahsoka Tano. He's going to be bringing Ahsoka Tano in real live action onto the screen, onto the small screen, Disney Plus. And then the plan is that he's going to basically be launching retconned, shall we say, the Thrawn trilogy. And that's the kind of stuff that I want. And I know that's the stuff that you would like. Okay. Don't know what's going on with your computer, but...
Oh, no, that's the other computer, the one in the background.
Okay, well, that was loud enough. Anyway. But yeah. Like, your source of revenue doesn't come from your fucking ideology. It doesn't come from you tinkering. It doesn't come with you throwing your weight around and say, well, I think we need to have this, and this, and this. But I don't care what you want. I don't care what the source material is. I don't care that there's how many hundreds of books of Star Wars for, people. I'm sure there's easily 100 Star Wars novels out there. The comics and. Well, there's not enough original material. Well, no, there's plenty. You just want to have your fucking feminist ideology coloring what a lot of people have enjoyed around the world into the woman is just not, she's not creative. That was the worst thing that George Lucas ever did besides sell off Star Wars. I don't know which was worse, selling Star Wars to Disney or stepping down and promoting her to president of LucasArts. That's a tough call. I mean, that really is.
No, that was Disney that did that, not Lucas. Lucas no longer has control over.
I think he promoted her when he stepped down, or he recommended her. He probably recommended her. Anyway, he's got his fingerprints somehow with her being where she is, but that's another story. Anyway, but again, I have the option to buy something, whether I like it or not. Most of the time, in terms of movies, I'm not motivated enough to go. I don't, and this again is a fundamental difference between the two of us, and I respect you like to go to movies, I could care less. Although if the one theater that's in Kensington has Renfield still playing, I'm going to go see it because I really want to go see it.
Oh, that reminds me, I totally forgot about Renfield. I'm going to have to go see that.
It actually looks like it's going to be a good movie. It's not too long. It's not too short. And the overall reviews that I've seen of, I've heard of it or read about it, actually said that it's good. Like, I've got a feeling it'll be kind of like a Deadpool kind of good, with a severe twist of Quentin Tarantino violence. That's what I'm expecting from it. But anyway, I can't say all of the time that the customer is always right. But what I can say is that the customer knows what they want, and if they like what they see, they're going to go give it. They're going to give their hard-earned, after double, triple taxation dollars, currency, funds, whatever you want to call it, cash, into a product that is actually good. Now, I have no intention of seeing Mario Brothers. I can't be. I have less than a fuck to give for the movie. But for the people that have seen it and have gone back to see it, because it's not. It's the people that go back again and again and again and again. Indiana Jones, the in the Lost Ark, that was the first movie that I saw twice. We went to, when Star Wars was re-released in Banff, I went twice. One, because I didn't see it the first time when I was young, and so that was my first reason to see it the first time. And the second time, I was like, well, it's just been re-released, I'm going to watch it again. And Return to the Jedi is the only other movies that I have seen twice. So, did Lucasfilm make a lot of money off of me? No. But I was repeat business. So, yeah, like you said, get woke, go broke. But when you're not woke, this is what you're going to have. You'll have successful films like Top Gun 2. Again, didn't see it, but they did enough of the right things to draw people in and to draw them and to have them come back again. And until the left admits that they're wrong and they stop getting on their goddamn fucking soapbox, nothing's really going to change there. So we will have, you might get a grossing movie. You might get one per year, calendar year. Well, you might get about 3 or 4 per calendar year. But it's going to come down to, either a great film that isn't going to meet the Oscars requirements for all this politically correct shit. So I think maybe the studios are going to have to basically say, we need the fucking cash, fuck Hollywood, the hell with the Oscars. So now, but that's only for best film though, or are they applying that to all of the categories? Do you know?
Oh, that's for all the Academy Award movies. You have to have. Yeah, man, I wish I was making that up, but no, I'm not.
Yeah, no, I know you're not. And that's why I was asking, because, okay, yeah, so it's for all of the categories. There has to be. But then again, what about the international films? What about, let's just say that there's going to, okay, hypothetical question, I realize we're kind of straying off topic here, but food for thought. If there is a great Japanese film that comes out, do they have to have non-Japanese people that are proportionally represented with the population in Japan? Because Japan right now is about 98% Japanese and 2% everybody else, whoever's living in the country. So will that standard apply?
Yeah, well, don't use logic on these people. They just get mad when you use logic on them.
Change my mind. Ooh. Yeah, I went there. That's fine. Okay, I got nothing more to say on this one.
God damn it, this is the second time you've done this. I'm busy downloading all the feminist firefighters video stuff for the screenplay, and you finished while I'm right in the middle of it.
Sorry,
okay, well,
I'd apologize for that, but I'm done. I got nothing more to say.
Okay, so the last topic, and we added this one in. We were going to be done for tonight, but we decided to add this one in just because it.
As I threw it.
It's a local. It's a local story, which means that Justin Trudeau, may you fucking rot in hell. It also covers a quote unquote Canadian content. Not that it really matters because I'm not gonna be on YouTube. I'm not on YouTube anymore. Okay, so, and ironically enough, we were just talking about diversity hires in regards to Japanese movies. Well, guess what they've decided to do? Banff National Park, because it's a government agency, has decided to make diversity hires for, drum roll please, forest fire. Okay,
firefighters.
First of all, firefighters.
Oh my, you can. So that is the wildfire in Banff right now. And fun fact, it was started as a controlled burn by the International Women in Firefighting Conference. Previous to this controlled burn getting out of control, they were posting articles about how this conference was happening and how they were going to be doing this controlled burn, and it was only going to have women. Like, no men were allowed to be a part of this controlled burn. And I'm not saying that women shouldn't be doing this stuff. Go them. Great for them to be a part of firefighting and like wildfire fighting. I'm just saying it's a little bit funny that they are so quiet now about who started it, and they're just going, oh no, it's just Parks Canada, where there was nothing else, no other conference, nothing else going on. I mean, if it had gone well, they would probably be bragging about it and posting all over, and it would be all over the news about how it was this International Women's Firefighting Conference, and look how good they did. But since it went a little bit poorly, there's just a lot of silence on the matter. And I would have green screened in the article that was talking about how this conference was happening, but I don't know how. So just you can Google it. You can Google the like International Women in Firefighting Conference, Banff, Alberta, and you'll see it. And they're talking specifically about this planned controlled burn. Just thought it was kind of funny.
Now, first of all, the one thing you got to understand about fighting fires is, and I mean, I've talked to people who have done it for a living, especially if you're there's one particular group of firefighters known as heli-tac, and this is a group of about 6 to 12 guys that get dropped in really close to a fire. And what they do, it's literally like the military. You set up the scene, you clear it out, you do all sorts of things, and you're doing it really, really close to where the actual fire is, right? Guys in the heli-tac squad have stories about having to use some of those like having to go and squat in it, put these heat reflective tarps over them while the fire ran over them, while they've been in swamps and have been like literally like had leeches sucking on them and mosquitoes biting them, and they couldn't do anything about it because the fire was like literally raging over them as they came by. Like, it is an incredibly dangerous job, right? If you look at firefighters, it like you're gonna love this. The interim guy. By the way, I'm getting an your side. The interim guy, the guy between when Miss 2016 basically went and decided to bang the tatted up dude bro, and the guy that she ran off with, you know, the pot smoking, polyamorous swinger, who I suspect may have had a drug problem. Yeah, she dropped. Yes, I will. Yeah, that's what she literally did. I'm thinking she just, yes, I will drop my job and move back with you to BC. And shocker of shockers, less than 6 months later, the relationship was over. Yeah, I know. I'm stunned. The guy between that dude and the tatted up dude bro was a forest fighter. Was a firefighter, a forest firefighter, and he posted up photos of his crew, and it was exclusively male. It is not a safe job. There's a reason why there are very few female firefighters in the city. In a forest fire fight, you don't even have the luxury of having access to fire hydrants and hoses and emergency services. If you get injured out there, if you get fried to a crisp, it could be several hours before you get out, right? Especially if you're not in a place that medical evac helicopters can get to. Like, it is a dangerous job. It is about as close as you can get to dealing with military, with potential war without actually being in a war. Like, it is that dangerous, apparently. But because it's not quote unquote combat, somebody, I suspect at Banff National Park, thought it would be a really good idea to hire female firefighters, forest firefighters. Okay, I don't have an issue with that. If they can carry their weight, great. What they did, though, is they had a controlled burn and they lost control of a controlled burn, and it was literally right alongside the highway. CTV covered it, everybody else ignored it. But we're not going to ignore it because I'm a guy in the manosphere, and I am not going to ignore something like this. I'm going to say this for the record, though. If there's a female that can carry her weight, if there's a female that can do the job, that can handle the physical requirements to be a firefighter, let her in. Right? But again, much like everything else, if you're just going to force people in diversity, okay, when it comes to say the Academy Awards, you're only talking about a financial loss, which is bad enough. But when you're talking about a forest fire situation, people's lives are on the line. So I don't know who this idiot is who thought this would be a good idea. But yeah, whoever it was, yeah, I think you're a fucking idiot. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rearson.
Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know. I don't know what to say, much less what to think. There's stupid little fucking things that stay in my head from, I can't say my childhood, but from my past in TV shows. And there was a made-for-TV show about this, basically this situation where a woman wanted to be a firefighter. And it was Joe on Facts of Life. That's what the show was. Joe Polnichek, whatever the fucking character's name was. And it was kind of this, and it really was this attempt to make men feel guilty that women can't be a firefighter. I'm like, well, no, it's like, you know what? You better be able to carry me out of a fucking bad situation. My weight gain is going around my waist, and I've internalized much of the fat that I've accumulated. So, yeah, I'm heavier than what neuroQ. If I was to compare myself now to what I looked like 20 years ago, it's like, yeah, I've fattened up. But if any of those female firefighters are able to carry me, wants to be able to drag me without two of them or three of them pulling me out of a bad situation, in a hypothetical situation, I'm sorry, you're not fit for the fucking job. I mean, these individuals on the left can complain about the environmental destruction and everything else, but you know who at the end of the day is getting that gasoline into your vehicle or that diesel for your truck or your bus or fucking whatever? Guess what? A bunch of guys did that. Typically speaking, the food that's going to be on the plate, I pretty much guarantee you, the vast majority, well over half the workforce to do all of that, you can thank men for that. You can thank men for the house that you live in, or the apartment, or the condo, or having the internet. It's just one of those. It hasn't gone out of style yet, but it's going to be. When you stop and think about it, women have to take on more masculine roles for when men stop being men, women will have to pick up the slack and become more like men, and they're going to be more or less unattractive. But men don't have to become more like women for society to continue or to thrive. there are, I guess, in the sense too that, to me, this is no different in one way of fucking having mixed army units. They fall apart. And talked with an old roommate of mine from Lake Louise, which is in Banff National Park. And this topic is again, it hit close to home for me because of how long I spent my life living in the Bow Valley. Like, I probably spent about a quarter of my life I lived out there. So this topic fucking pisses me off. And again, I remember when they were doing a controlled burn, and the forest you could see on the mountainside, looking at the Mount Norquay exit. You would look towards Calgary. They eventually burned that whole section down, and it was ugly. It was awful. I mean, I go back now. I went back I think about 15 years later. It's grown back, and you wouldn't really notice if you didn't see what had to be done to keep the area forest fire, fuel, a reduction of fuel for an actual real uncontrollable forest fire. But, fuck. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I got no problem with the doctor being male or female. When it comes to having a nurse, I prefer a female nurse. Not saying male nurses can't do the job, I just would prefer a woman. They're more nurturing. Law enforcement, military, first responders, overall, by and large, I want men to be in that position, because you have to have a hierarchy. There has to be a command structure, and you can't be in this, let's all just get along. Why are you just trying to fucking counsel and try to understand why the fire is raging and why it's burning all that fucking shit down? Ain't gonna fucking work. And yeah, I get it. Women try to get along to make peace with everybody. Sorry. At some point, you can't do that. I mean, it just doesn't fucking work. And when situations get out of hand, shit goes wrong. And my father actually used to be, I'll have to ask him about that actually. He apparently was a volunteer firefighter when he lived out in Thunder Bay, and he did deal with fires out in the wild. And he said that in Ontario would be a whole lot fucking worse because of the humidity. But when things went wrong, it gets bad. I'm gonna have to ask him about that tomorrow, actually. And with the heat, and typically speaking, what could be compared to what we're used to living with in Naroki, with, shall we say, extreme humidity, it is hell on earth. And it would be. I mean, and I have to think back to a former best friend of mine from high school, elementary school. He went and planted trees for a couple of summers, and he said it is rough. It gets bad, and enough people break down. But if I'm going to be making assumptions, I'll assume that there's going to be more females are going to snap rather than guys will. Let's say the males won't, but I expect that the females are going to regret doing all of it, because a lot of the creature comforts are not there. So, but then again, let's not forget that the town of Banff itself plans to be, or would like to be, a 15-minute city. So this,
Well, it is a 15-minute city anyway, right? So
yeah, it is. But for me to visit from Calgary or from the surrounding area, they're going to make sure it's a 15-minute city, and that I can only come out, shall we say, once a year, if that. So I think that's where all of that's going to be. And again, it'll be probably a taxation for people to come in even more so than before. So it's a cash grab, just my opinion. But Trudeau must have had somewhere in all of this, must have had his fucking fingerprint on it. If not him, someone within the Trudeau administration to do this. And apparently it was like 25 plus degrees with like 30 kilometer per hour winds. I'm sorry, but at some point that's going to burn, and it's going to burn pretty damn quickly. I mean, they got it under control, though I kind of wish that they would have burned the town, wish the town would have burned down, just to prove a fucking point that, simply put, you do not. Don't do this shit again. But, again, like you said, if a woman is hell-bent on becoming a firefighter, great. There are physical requirements that you have to meet. And if you can't do it, you're not supposed to be there. Not one fucking bit, so.
Well, it decreases the overall quality of the entire unit. I mean,
yep.
You know, like, I don't want to quote the movie 300 here, but I mean, right, like, Leonidas actually looks at Themistocles and goes, well, you're only as strong as the man next to you.
Yeah, that's true. 100%.
You know, I mean, when you're in a situation like that, you're only as good as the man next to you. If the man next to you or the woman next to you cannot haul her weight, you know, like, I mean, if something really serious happens, I mean, yeah, you've got to get out of there. And if somebody is injured, you got to carry that other person. That's why it says it's about as close to being in the actual armed forces without being in the armed forces. In fact, a lot of ex-military people actually do go into firefighting. In particular, forest firefighting, because it is very similar to what they've got in the armed forces. So, yeah. Again, if a woman can haul her weight in a forest firefighting situation, then great. But yeah, it's like, I mean, okay, you know what? If I got myself back in shape and went through did all the physical requirements and whatever to do it, I could probably do it myself, right? And so could, well, actually, no, Gerson, you got the medical issue. So, I've
got a back that won't last. Right now, I've got a problem with my knee, and I do not rehydrate as well as you do. So, no, this will not work for me.
I mean, I might be able to pull it off. It would be physically, but I mean, I'm like, it would be physically, like, I mean, it's not a strange thing, but it would that's definitely young man's work. Right? Like, I mean...
That too?
But, I mean, it's like, yeah, could I do it? Yeah, I could. There's a reason why they don't recruit men over a certain age to fight in the armed forces, because they're just not physically able to do it, right? Like, I mean, I've been lucky. I haven't had any medical issues that have really prevented me from doing it. I'm actually quite grateful that I'm not living in Ukraine right now, because they're, like, literally grabbing people off the street. You're grabbing young men off the street and forcing them into the army.
And that is a sign of a country that is not winning.
Yeah, it's a sign of a country that is definitely not winning. So, when you're starting to press people into military service, you're not going to get, like, their heart's not in it, right? And you're forcing them to do it. it's like, yeah, it's not gonna work. And this is the same sort of thing. It's like, yeah, maybe these women would have been good firefighters in certain circumstances, but you're dealing with a situation that is close to actually being in wartime as you can get, and there are very few women that can, not just the physical demands, but the mental demands to boot. Anyway, that is it for me tonight. Do you have anything more to add?
I was going to go back into that topic number 2. I don't remember what it was, and I just don't have the drive to talk about it.
Ryan Webb, Councilman, trolls Leftists for declaring himself a lesbian woman.
No. Oh, it was the Bridal.
The Steve Crowder.
It was the Bridal. It was the Bridal.
Yeah.
The Bridal chain closing down. To be honest with you, I worked with someone, and he's in the same boat that I am, which I have to thank you for waking me up to all of this. When he sees someone or hears about a guy getting married, it's like, oh, okay, go ahead. Indirectly, basically saying, good fucking luck, because you're going to need it. There's a government building not far away from where I am, and I'm not seeing the people that I see that get married there, the bride and groom, they're not white. They're going to be Indian, as in India subcontinent. And
those Indian guys are going to find out the hard way what it's like getting married in the West. Just saying.
Yeah, well, and enough of the time she's maybe a 7, maybe. But that's neither here nor there. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, it's like, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. But they will, and that's fine. But as you said earlier, yeah, they'll find out the hard way. I mean, I remember seeing, one woman. I was moving stuff to storage. I can't remember who it was. I think it was a co-worker. That's what it was. She was moving out of one place and she needed to put her stuff in storage. We get there, and this Indian woman was drop dead fucking gorgeous. But, oh my God, I've never seen so much bling. And this is before I've even remotely started to become red-pilled to the institution of marriage. And my thought when I looked at this woman was, wow. And then I really thought about it, kind of going, no, because this is a high-maintenance woman. Like, this guy has to be bringing in, I'm sure this salary expectation is a minimum $100,000 a year, minimum, if not $250,000. And even then, I think she'd be all that satisfied. But
well, that's on her, right? Again, this is stuff that the manosphere talks about. It's like, like how to spot high maintenance women and how to deal with the high maintenance woman, aka you have your fun with her and then you split, right? Or you don't get involved with them in the first place at all. You do not fucking. Sorry, I will jump in with one more thing about this. Gold diggers, though, in a strange kind of way, are a little bit more honest than the nice girls, because at least with gold diggers, you know what the standard's gonna be before you go in.
Fair enough.
Continue.
Yeah, but yeah, with Suk, he's of the same opinion. Kind of, it's if it was up to him, he would leave his wife, but he knew he's going to get raked, thoroughly raked. So he puts up with as much as he can, and that's basically kind of it.
Well, do you maybe I could maybe send you some information that you could send him.
Mm-hmm.
That could maybe level the playing field a little bit.
Well, the thing though is that
if he says yes, that is.
Yeah. Well, I don't see him doing it at this point in time, and I don't think he will. I mean, it's just easier. It's cheaper to keep her, shall we say? But fuck, I just completely derailed my train of thought here. Anyway, that's fine. No, I mean, much like the social network that females have about this guy being too creepy or this guy did this or whatever. I mean, with social media, it just makes it more intense and much more instant, especially in high school, shall we say. And as you said as well, too, is that through varying degrees of separation, I may not know someone who's been going through a messy divorce directly, but I know that I've got someone who knows someone, a guy who knows a guy who's gone through it. There's a loose associate, and he's gotten raked over the coals with his divorce, and he doesn't have anything positive to say about females at this point in time, and I don't think he will for a long time to come. So, for us as being males in our age range, my wife also said this too, that when I was still in better standing with my spouse, I said to her that if we divorce, and it doesn't matter if, it's when now, but I have said to her that I will only be married once, and that's going to be it. I might have something kind of serious afterwards, but am I going to be bound to a contract that's going to be backed up by a court system that is not going to be terribly favorable upon me? Nope. Now, I have found out that Alberta is one of the better places to get divorced in because it is not as heavily favored as it is that my brother had to go through with the Shit and Family Court in rural Ontario. So, is there a chance for these guys that it won't be quite as bad if things don't change in Alberta? Yeah, assuming that they stay here. Will they? Don't know. I don't know. And I'm not really going to wait and see what's going to happen with all of that either. So, all right. I'm good. We can wrap this up.
Okay, yeah. That concludes tonight's show. Like, subscribe, talk to you later. We're going to be doing this again. 309 is rather interesting. Just 310 is going to be interesting. Whoopi Goldberg is getting her own comic book. Yeah, we're going to be covering that. Oh. Yeah, we're going to be covering that next week. Anyway, stay tuned.
Star Trek and leave that alone. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, stay tuned. Thank you, everybody, for showing